Hey, what's going on, friends, family? My name's Skylent, and every season we like to go over what's hot, what's not on Steam, and this list is going to be the hype list. It's what's the most populated free-to-play games on Steam. And we're looking specifically at Steam because Steam actually broadcasts its numbers. Other games, we can't look through their launchers, and they don't reveal their numbers, so this is the only way. And most people play on Steam. Most of the biggest games are generally on Steam. I think it's pretty fair, and we can kind of see trends, you know, what people are really interested in, and also what games are probably worth checking out, you know, if they've been consistently popular or if they're on the rise, which we will also talk about first here on this list. But before all that, please subscribe, like, all that stupid YouTube stuff. It definitely helps out the algorithm. You know, let's do it up. Yeah, let's keep the hype alive here for Skylent Games. Much love, friends and family. But let's get into this top 10. Alright guys, but I wanted to start this video off the top 10, and this is going to be kind of honorable mentions in a way. These are brand new games, games that are up and coming, or games that maybe have fallen off the list here. And immediately, yeah, let's talk about that. We got Paladins. Paladins, one of my most favorite games actually, but it's also one of the favorite games to hate in a way, because it's so cute, it's so silly, but it's not really competitive. And a lot of people kind of take it seriously when it's really not. It's incredibly glitchy and awkward, nowhere near as polished as its big cousin Overwatch. And they are related. Paladins is definitely cloned-ish or very inspired from Overwatch. And we're not even going to get into that fight because it's not a fight. Paladins was actually announced after Overwatch was playable at BlizzCon. And then afterwards, you know, Paladins originally, you can check on my channel, actually went from one, it kind of like looked like Guild Wars 2. In a way, and then switched to a proper hero shooter just like Overwatch, had all the same features and many of the same characters. Since then though, it's actually differentiated itself with the card system, the loadout systems, the classes, but I just don't think that they've really done much. I mean, Overwatch has done so many casual things, there's created games, there's so much production in the esports, and Paladins is just almost kind of worse in every way other than just being free to play and silly and casual. Nothing to sneeze at, 20,307 players, but it has made its way off the top 10 list, and I do think it's because it's kind of just not as good as Overwatch, but it is free. And at the same time, though, they really should have promoted more silly events or, yeah, added like a map creator or something like that. More production, but Hi-Rez kind of spread itself a little bit thin. I'm not really sure, but they're actually doing okay with another one of their games. So the next game is a notable up. We've got Smite. Smite is actually on an uptrend, which is kind of surprising because for a while it was really stagnant and then it just kind of slowly dropped off the map. But then all of a sudden it's like, what's going on? You know, they did a bunch of events and everything and it didn't seem to affect the numbers. But lately, you know, this past season, it's climbed astronomically. And they've always had like a bit of esports, a bit of casual events, much more than Paladins actually, with PvE events and, you know, PvE updates. 20,000 players. That's you know, depending on the time of day, it might actually be more popular than Paladins, which is incredibly surprising considering trends and such, especially because the MOBA genre is basically, you know, hard stuck with the ones that we have. We've even been losing some of the big boys like Heroes of the Storm. So Smite, well, I mean, we also lost Paragon and Gigantic. Smite's the only one that's really survived, and now it's still it's thriving? What? I'm jumping back into it because they're adding in the Baba Yaga with like some weird cabin moving mechanic. I don't know, she's a witch? I gotta go check that out. I do love jungling in Smite. Actually, and more than any other MOBA, I love all the positions. It's so weird, and Smite was one of the first MOBAs that I've ever played, and it was the first that got me really into the genre. So I really appreciate it. I want to jump back into it, and I guess I have no excuse not to, with 20,000 players enjoying it right now. So yeah, it's on the uptrend. Let's jump back into it, especially if you played Paragon or some of these other MOBAs and you kind of fell out of love with them, but you like their ideas, their concepts. Smite's the one that has just been doing it good since day one. Another notable uptrend is Albion Online. Now, not too, man, it's not giant players counts here, but 8,655 on Steam, though also know that a lot of them do play on the standalone launcher. But Albion Online is seeing a lot of players jumping in because the Steam reviews have gone more positive. It did go free to play, but that didn't launch its popularity, actually. Albion Online still had some issues balancing and just a number of little tiny things sporadically throughout the game. But now with a bunch of updates, just rapid fire, boom, 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 kind of essentially like expansions into the game with a storytelling arc to it, where they're kind of like forming the world and they're actually building the lore of the world. Albion Online is seeing a lot more players and a lot more sincerity from those players. Now, it is a free-to-play game. Do be aware that the free-to-play is pretty limiting. It is a grind-based game. It is about, gathering resources and pumping that into your guild. So you do want to try to earn either in-game through a fuck ton of grind, or by spending money on the optional Bunny Ears subscription. Please do. Me personally, I kind of play as a silverer slash jungler slash, player killer, spear, leather, combination of armors. Oh, and if you don't know, the ability set in Albion Online is make your own kit, which is based on your weapon that you choose and the armor that you choose. Pretty fun, actually. You don't just pick a class or just a subset of characters, you just kind of make your own kit. Really cool stuff. There is definitely good PvE content and PvP, and people are finding that it's actually a pretty rich MMO despite not having quests. For a PvEVP MMO, in my opinion, it is the best, and I'm glad more people are appreciating it, and I'm glad the developers are taking it more sincerely as well. Another upturn here, we have PlanetSide 2. You guys probably have been hearing about this. Recently, a bunch of big streamers have jumped into it because there was this big new update, and the community has been doing a lot of really cool, fun stuff with their video series. I know some people like to kind of dissociate, I think, like content creators and gameplay, but when it comes to MMOs and stuff, it goes hand in hand. So when a big streamer or somebody starts making like a new series, it definitely impacts the numbers, and I believe that's what happened with PlanetSide 2. But of course, climaxing with the escalation update, we've got about 5,000 players in PlanetSide 2, just kind of on average, and it's growing and growing. With these new updates, but yeah, people are checking out the game because they added in like this new competitive mode where different clans can actually go and participate in their own unique continent zone where, it's like real freaking try-hard stuff. But then in just the casual gameplay, we actually have like a hub town, a sanctuary hub town. I haven't checked that out yet. I need to. And then just the general day-to-day gameplay is smoother than ever. I mean, it's still cheesy. It's still PlanetSide 2. It's still, a free-to-play, massively multiplayer shooter. But alone, it stands. There is no other game like this. I mean, barely. If you squint, Foxhole, maybe that's a top-down shooter. I don't know, Heroes and Generals isn't really an MMO. Basically, PlanetSide 2 is PlanetSide 2. No other game comes close, except for the original. So, 5,000 players jumping in, more and more coming in, because it's just so easy to jump in. It's just so easy to try out. And of course, maybe some people would say, well, there's no really quests, there's no grind, there's not too much to really stick you, but I think now there's more content, there's more to try out, there is a lot of gameplay to be had. And now more than ever, it's easier to jump in and play with a big clan, to play with an outfit. It immediately puts you into a mentorship style squad, and then people are voice chatting, everyone is really social, and this is one of the most non-toxic communities I've ever seen, and that's funny because this is just a PvP MMO, like it is just. In terms of open world, like sandboxy PvP MMO, this is the easiest to jump into. It is the most friendly, and it's just jump down Call of Duty, boots on the ground, or mixed combat, Battlefield style. You got your airship, stuff like that. There's so much you can do, and so many ways it can go wrong, and yet it feels so right. So the content is you getting good. As long as you just, have a decent computer, that's pretty much it. And don't worry, it doesn't actually take too much to run this, depending on how you play, but yeah, that is the one fear. But regardless, it's free to play, it's incredibly casual, and at the same time, they are now giving us tools to make it competitive. So PlanetSide 2 is back in the action and is showing us in the MMO space that it still can compete. And finally, for notable upturns, a game called Deceit. Now, I played this game just kind of, I don't know, it was like around Halloween. I was like, it seems like a cute game. I love asymmetrical multiplayer games, especially when like you can be deceptive and hide as a monster. There's very few games like that, but Deceit is one of those games. It kind of feels like a Saw-ish experimental sort of thing. You're a group of survivors trying to make your way through, it's like a mansion or maybe like a laboratory or something like that, depends on the level. And you're just trying to make your way through and trying to figure out who are the monsters. And whenever the lights go out, they transform and they kill bitches. So everything is actually really rapid fire, really quick, really clean, and I have no insight of why this is popular all of a sudden. Might be a case of a couple YouTubers covering it, I don't know, but 4,942 players, as when I just checked it, is really exciting for a very niche game like this. If you guys want to see more games like this, I actually did a top 10, which I'm proud to say I'm like one of the only people who have done a list video like that. If you're looking for asymmetrical multiplayer, so that's games like, where one player's the monster, the others are humans, or something like that, Deceit's going to be up there. It's going to be real high up there on that list, but you might want to go check out that list as well. I really do appreciate Deceit for how quick and casual it is, and being free to play. it's just a little bit special in my heart. I think it's just easy to jump into. Maybe we'll actually play this on stream for you guys. You guys can jump in and play with me. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, Deceit, check it out. All right, but now we have some notable new games, brand new games, so it's kind of hard to tell, like, where they're going to fit into everything. Sometimes we'll talk about some games that are brand new and maybe they're viral or not, but none of these games are super viral. But we do have Dota Underlords. Do want to mention this game. 13,894 players. And that's not as many as I thought it would be. When this genre was first exploding, which we originally had the auto chess inside of Dota, so it was a mod inside of Dota, which Dota was originally a mod of Warcraft, and then it just became this explosive genre. But I think it was just an explosion. It seems that it's kind of waned down, and I think that in the end, League of Legends Teamfight Tactics is kind of the winner. But then we had the mobile game auto chess. A lot of people felt weird that they went to mobile, but like it ran good and was fun. That was the most played I had for the genre. I loved it. And then Dota Underlords had some cool ideas. But I don't know. I think it had some performance issues. They didn't really promote it. Some weird stuff was going down. I don't really know. It's still a decent player count. It really is. And I think maybe in time, it could do okay. It's just Teamfight Tactics just has so much more star power. And now that that's on mobile, once that gets optimized, I don't know. I think that's going to be the king. But yeah, 13,000 or almost 14,000 players is still pretty cool. I think I'll just mostly play it on mobile myself. And we have Crusader Kings 2, which is actually an old game, but it was released as free-to-play. And this has 10,500 players. This is exciting to me, especially because of Age of Empires 2 just recently re-released or got remastered. Also, there's this mod for Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and a bunch of other kind of like I guess RTS games and strategy games in general. We've seen some other free-to-play strategy games come out, and it just seems like there's kind of more passion coming out from that genre, and it looks like it's actually like not just creating new games, but people are interested in those games and people are playing them. Crusader Kings 2 with 10,500 players, that's really cool. Now, I actually haven't played this game. I need to check it out. I need to try it. Same thing, I got to buy Age of Empires 2 and a few other titles, but, I'm making my way through right now. And I just, I don't know where this is coming from. I guess people have always liked these games. It's just, I guess we haven't really had them, like really good ones in a long time, have we? We've had a couple 4Xs, like Endless Legend years and years ago. But when it comes to strategy games, and especially RTSs, it was really like StarCraft 2, and then what happened? We just got a bunch of cheesy party games, essentially. So I think it's really cool that we're going back to grand strategy. And you know what? I want to see what we get for like the brand new games now that they know that there's interest in this. And finally, we have this I don't know, it's a really random game that I covered a while ago. But no, dude, 7,000 players for this game. NGU Idol is, I'm assuming it must have been a YouTuber or something. But this game actually kind of does deserve its popularity. And maybe it's not too surprising because a bunch of idle games are kind of popular. And if you guys haven't played idle games, I know just like me, it took a little bit to start trying them because what the fuck? I'm like, competitive gamer, so a game that plays itself, what's the point? It doesn't literally play itself. It just plays itself 99%. Really, it's a game about progression. So even though you can't lose exactly, these kind of games, it's about trying to be as fast as possible, have as much progress as possible. There is some gamification, and even if there wasn't, NGU Idol is unique in this aspect because it's kind of fucking hilarious. It's kind of a parody of itself while still being debatably the best in its own genre. But yeah, if you just kind of read through what's happening, it's, the graphics and everything, super cheesy. It looks super shitty, but it's actually kind of a little bit hilarious. I put this in like some top 10 like weird free-to-play list, I think. It might have actually made a couple lists. Anyways, check out those videos. I'll link it somewhere, but also maybe give this game a shot. It takes like 0.05 seconds to actually download, and I think pretty immediately you'll crack a smile. Alright guys, but that's it for the honorable mentions, and I think those are more interesting, so I put them at the beginning there. But we've got 10 games, these are the 10 most popular, and generally this list doesn't move too much, so I'm not going to just regurgitate the, the Steam page info of what these titles are, but we'll talk about them. Number 10, Brawlhalla. That's pretty obvious. It generally will actually maybe leave the list or come on the list, but it sits generally at the bottom. Brawlhalla, though, did launch on the Switch. You can find it at pretty much every platform. Please come to mobile Brawlhalla. That'd be fucking hilarious. But 22,905 players at last I checked is actually really exciting, especially because Smash Bros is out. And frankly, guys, when Smash Bros came out, I instantly decided I will never, ever play another platform fighter again. Because right before it came out, I just played a bunch of them. I even did a list video on a number of different fighting games, including platform fighters. But dude, Smash Bros is just so good. But I will say, Brawlhalla, out of all of the other games that are clones, Brawlhalla isn't a clone. It is really its own standalone thing that does focus on weapon fighting. It actually made it highly ranked up. If it wasn't number one, it was pretty high up there on my weapon fighters list because it's a platform fighter totally focused on jumping up and getting the weapons. Some of the different characters look kind of cool, but overall, I have to say, I'm not a fan of the art style. I'm not a fan of the kind of lackluster impact of the game. Like the visuals and the explosivity of Smash is just beyond, right? But for a free-to-play game that can be played on any PC, anywhere, anytime, and also on the Switch, and yeah, maybe we can get it on mobile. That'd be a suggestion, okay? But it's such a fun casual game. It's so silly, but also it does have competitions for real. So I don't know. Maybe you like Rivals of Aether. Maybe there are some other platform fighters out there that you have attended to. But Brawlhalla is really the only game that has at all ever competed with Smash Bros. And at 22,000 players, dude, it's the number 10 most popular free-to-play game on Steam. That's crazy. This game is doing way better than I thought it would. So I need to jump back in to the fray. Number 9 is a game that I said I would play also, but I never did. World of Tanks Blitz. I mean, I played it on mobile, so I'm confused. Can somebody please clarify? Why is World of Tanks Blitz, which is a port of the mobile version of World of Tanks, more popular than World of Tanks? Or like, what's happening here? It's 27,000 players. That's kind of a lot who are playing a game that I thought was just a mobile port. So did they combine the two because one had better name recognition? What's going on there? You would think I would do my due diligence, but I'm tired. Anyways, this is the second time I believe I've talked about this, so I guess it's not a joke. This is something that's around to stick around. And I don't know how I feel about World of Tanks. World of Tanks is one of those games where it's like you play it and you lose your life, or you try it and then you quit immediately. I'm somebody who was like, I tried it and I didn't quite get it. I did actually really stick a little bit with War Thunder and a few other. I actually played World of Warships much more, but World of Tanks Blitz is the one that's super popular. So I guess there's really no other tank game, and Battlefield isn't as popular as it used to be too. So I guess if I really want my vehicular kind of strategy-esque gameplay, that slower paced sort of gameplay, I guess I gotta go try World of Tanks Blitz, right? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Number 8 is War Thunder, which I just mentioned. War Thunder is unique though compared to World of Tanks or World of Warships or World of Warplanes because it's like all of those games in one. And also at the same time, whenever it first released, it kind of had like a little bit of a graphical, I think, like prowess or edge compared to World of Tanks. Though those games have caught up now, eventually. War Thunder, I think, also was just, for some reason, a little bit more accessible. And I do appreciate that they sometimes have mixed combat. So sometimes you'll have encounters where there's like airplanes and then there's tanks. But for the most part, like this one game does actually have a larger breadth of gameplay. Now, whether it's better or worse, I don't know, but it is more popular. At 29,447 players, it is more popular than World of Tanks Blitz and any of the World of series, which is saying something because they're kind of freaking titans in that industry. Though, neck and neck here, I think in the end, if there was one that I was going to play sincerely, and I will actually be jumping into this one more quickly, and that's going to be War Thunder. Number 7 is one of the cutest games of all time, but it's actually kind of hardcore. It's Unturned. Unturned, you guys should already know by now, is a DayZ clone. It was built in Roblox by a teenager, then turned into a full production that's just gotten better and better since then. And I've played it lightly, and I think everyone always complains I use like old footage because like there hasn't been a new trailer in the longest time. But Unturned has turned into something really, really special. The whole community has really rallied behind this game as like the kind of like zombie experience. And honestly, when it first released, even like in its pre-alpha state, it had more features than like the War Z or now Infection Survival Stories. I think that game went through a bunch of different name changes. It had a lot of features that DayZ didn't have. Like it was really fully featured. It just looks kind of, Robloxy, but 35,318 players would say that, it's actually a pretty serious game, and you can add me to that list as well. Hey guys, next up, Path of Exile. Path of Exile is a game you probably expected on this list because it's always on this list somewhere. But it's really funny because throughout a year, Path of Exile will drop dramatically and then spike up radically. Now with certain events in the world that I can't say because of demonetization fears, but yeah, all these games have had a boost in player counts. All of Steam, everyone's just staying inside playing games. But Path of Exile uniquely also had announced Path of Exile 2.0 or 4.0. I don't know. The community calls it something else, but basically it's Path of Exile 2. They're adding a whole parallel campaign. They're also going to be doing a Path of Exile on mobile, and of course, just every year, Path of Exile just does some radical, cool freaking update that everyone, I guess, loves. Path of Exile is a game that I played once, one and done it, and then every once in a while I'll just talk about it because there's always a reason to talk about this game. Similar to Warframe, always doing these new expansions and being really accredited as great developers that listen to their community and create awesome, good new content. Yeah. Path of Exile has, I think overall, I would give it my accreditation as like some good stuff. Sometimes people just get addicted to games, and sometimes those games are actually worth getting addicted to. And Path of Exile, with its mix and matching kit creation and the way you can mutate spells and the way you really kind of customize your progression through the world, which you want in an RPG, especially a grind-based action RPG, no game on the planet comes as close with its complexity to that, in regards to that, as Path of Exile. So them constantly layering and adding in that one direction, the community just freaking loves it. So 70,600 players as we're talking right now, and I'm pretty sure that number is going to go up as they keep adding on to their roadmap, actually, that they have announced, and they start putting that into the game. Yeah. Halfway, just called it out, Warframe. Now, this game has fallen, I think, a little bit. I think the number will actually drop a little bit more. 72,000 though, 590 players. That's neat. Really, that's a lot of freaking people. But Warframe is a game that has always been beloved and right up there with Path of Exile. You know, like, oh, the developers are great and everything. But Warframe actually has had a rocky past. It's a looter shooter, ninjas in space. It's bonkers. It's crazy, right? And now people kind of know it as like, oh, that's the competitor, you know, ninjas in space versus Destiny. But Warframe used to technically, objectively be pay to win. Warframe also used to be pretty much the same game that it is now. Now, really, unlike Path of Exile, which kind of layers in the one direction that people really like playing the game, Warframe just kind of goes all over the place. Now, they've added some really awesome cinematic questing. They've added lots of really fun frames and lots of really cool stuff with like the open world, and then we got literal space ninjas flying around, you know, but it's like they keep adding in new grind loops. They keep adding in a lot of very light mechanics or just totally different ways to play that actually isn't really the core or the spirit of the game, and people are just kind of seeing that they're kind of making and reusing a lot of content and kind of polishing it up so it looks a little different, and I don't know, people are getting kind of bored. There's definitely a content drought of Warframe right now. They need to really refine a lot of their core mechanics, and in my opinion, the one thing that I really want to see is a refinement of the boss mechanics, the challenge, and then focusing on endgame content, which Path of Exile does, many other action RPGs do. They actually push that end game and push that, but Warframe just goes in too many parallel directions that in the end just really create more grind and time sinks, which makes them more money, but in the end I think people are kind of starting to catch on. It took a little bit, but now that we've seen the pattern after all these years, yeah, people are starting to complain and people are leaving. Number 4, Team Fortress 2, which I'm honestly kind of like scratching my head at that, like why? And that's I think because pretty much every time I talk about this game, it's for the same reason. I think it's just a really fucking stupid game. And I mean that in like the best way ever. So Team Fortress 2, it's got 74,691 players, as me just checking it, and it's just the stupidest fun time. See, Team Fortress 2 is one of those games that, you know, you got the server browser, you jump in, and everyone is basically not really playing the game. There's people who are just fucking dancing. You'll see a Congo line going out of spawn. You'll see one guy who's got a rocket launcher, but he only uses it to rocket jump so he can stomp on people's heads. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the one pyro who's actually trying and screaming at everyone. But for the most part, everyone is just kind of literally just doing nothing, and it's the greatest thing ever. You actually can make friends, you can trade. The trading scene in Team Fortress 2 is excellent compared to all these games. Even a game like Path of Exile or Warframe, I think is really, really fun. And Team Fortress 2 also has lots of different mini games. Personally, I really do appreciate the Horde mode, the man versus machine. That's where most of my time has been spent. But then you also have custom maps, custom game modes. People play stuff like Simon Says, or obviously the jump maps, the surf maps, the grenade and rocket jumping maps, all that crazy stuff. And then TF2 has really great holiday events as well, which you got to jump in and try those out. So it might be an older game. It might start to show its age, especially compared to, something like Paladins or definitely Overwatch. But really, it's actually a totally different kind of game and a totally different experience than any other shooter ever. So if you've missed out on this one, please give it a shot. It'll probably never die. And until another game that really takes the spirit of server mentality, that community aspect, and basically be a parody of like hardcore shooters, until they kind of understand that and just make a good silly time. TF2 is that good silly time. No other game even has that option, really. So number 3 is Destiny 2. Now, I didn't know if I actually wanted to put Destiny 2 on the list because, okay, look, we have 81,200 players, but how many of those are actually playing the free-to-play portion? So some games like Guild Wars 2, you have a huge chunk of content that's free-to-play, that's fun, and a lot of people play in that free content. But Destiny 2 it's more like you play the free content, and then you want to buy the expansions and you want to play the end game. It's an end game grind loop style game, and that isn't free-to-play. So I will mention that. I do need to jump in, try it, play it, have my time, sure. This is a game that I actually bought and refunded because, fuck launch Destiny. That was some bullshit. But now, it's got some good reviews and people are really happy with it. But are they happy that it's free, or some of it's free, or are they happy that like the new end game is actually kind of good, decent? It's a little confusing. It's a little ambiguous. But anyways, I gotta put it on the list because technically it's kind of sort of free, and I think some people are having fun with it. Though maybe I shouldn't have put it at number 3. Maybe it should have been an honorable mention. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of Destiny 2? And number 2 is Dota 2, which has kind of been stuck here for the longest time, at least until Counter-Strike went free to play. Yeah, so 6, oh my god, actually, I didn't realize the jump in numbers was so crazy. We just talked about under 100,000. Now all of a sudden, Dota 2 jumped up to 600,000 players. That's insane, but why so many players? Well, for one, kind of like Team Fortress 2, some people don't believe me, but there's lots of little mini games you can play. It's actually a really fun game to just be goofy in, even though it actually is incredibly toxic, especially with voice chat, even though it is incredibly hard to learn, and you're stuck in matches for like an hour or more. Actually, I don't know, the whole experience is a learning experience. You jump in, you flounder around, you buy some items that maybe you shouldn't buy, you play some heroes that you're not comfortable with, and that's okay, because really, in the end, 90% of players are actually dog shit at the game, and they just don't want to admit it. Just like most competitive games, but Dota 2 especially. So it's cool, just jump in, just goof around, and because it's so hardcore, it actually kind of makes it fun. That's my opinion, okay? Anyways, Dota 2 also, look, even if you don't want to play competitively, they literally do have mini games, like we mentioned much earlier in the list. Auto chess, and like Pudge Wars, and a few others. There's even like some PvE horde modes, which kind of harkens back to like Team Fortress 2's man versus machine. So there's a lot you can do in Dota 2 that is either like purely cinematic, purely casual, just hang out, chill, or mini games. Or yeah, you can play the game competitively for sure if you want to. Some people just play it basically as a way to just hang out with friends. It's a cool hub game to play lots of other little games in, or it's a cool game to kind of just waste some time in. If you kind of like games like Destiny or Warframe or Path of Exile, just kind of for the grind, Dota can feel like that too. Jump in, play Broodmother, sit in the jungle for about 50 minutes, and then carry the end game, I guess. I don't know. So I personally play Dota 2 versus League of Legends or Smite for the strategy characters. So that's going to be like Broodmother or Nature's Prophet. And I don't really like Meepo, but you get the gist. I do like characters that are a little bit more RTS oriented. So if you like a more strategy orientation to your MOBAs, that's Dota 2, especially now that we've lost Heroes of the Storm. But yeah, that's a lot of freaking players. Dota won't die. Compared to League, Smite, whatever, it's not going to lose its luster, I think, in the end, especially with all the casualness that goes with the minigames. And number one, and you know, this is another huge, holy shit, this is another huge jump. We went from like 600,000, now we're over 1 million. 1 million players are playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive, 1 million. Now this is gonna be for a couple of reasons. I actually think a big spike of players came from basically Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, just announced Valorant. Valorant is basically a Counter-Strike Global Offensive clone, except with magic. That's pretty much it. And people are playing more Counter-Strike, people who used to play, to kind of freshen up their skills to jump into Valorant, because it's like a clone. It's basically a clone. But this game's always been stupid popular. Now me, I'm more of like a Rainbow Six Siege kind of player. I really kind of more like Call of Duty, or really more just like Overwatch, arena shooters. Going really far into the tactical shooter genre, basically the king, Counter-Strike by far, hasn't really been my thing. I personally don't really like the shooting mechanics, the spray, the slow-paced nature of the game. Also, I just thought the presentation was kind of older, but when it went free to play, then that kind of gave me incentive to try it out. So I've been checking it out. I've been playing. I actually owned the game for the longest time, but I just, you know, it was a game that's really hard to get into. It's a game that has a lot of hidden mechanics, but it's one of the few games, if not like one of the, yeah, it's pretty much the only game that has like that gun wheel resource system between rounds. So I do appreciate that, but it is a really difficult and challenging game to get into. But at the same time, similar to Dota 2, I know there's tons of people who just get into it because it's so hardcore and then just goof around. And that sort of disparity, that, I don't know, juxtaposition is kind of cool and funny, and then you hear people rage at you and whatever, you know, I don't know. Depending on your mentality, this game either fucking sucks or it's like the best thing ever and it's really addicting. I even had that pull when I was trying it out myself. Need to check out more of it, but yeah, definitely with Valorant coming out, maybe I'll brush up my skills as well, just like everyone else. 1 million other players. Now, will that stick though when Valorant comes out? Is it going to be a case like Team Fortress 2 versus Overwatch? I don't think so, because those two games are totally different. That's why Team Fortress 2 still exists, like I said already. But Counter-Strike and Valorant, they're both going to be competitive games, both titans. You know, and League of Legends is very different from Dota. I don't know. I've never seen like a clone be so cloned so well by such a big company that I know will push esports. What's going to happen? What do you guys think in the comments below? Who's going to win the fight? Alright guys, but that's pretty much it. Those are the most popular free-to-play games on Steam, the ones that we can actually track the metrics for. The games that I'm currently playing right now, as of like making videos and stuff, and playing with the Video Game Party Club, I'm playing PlanetSide 2. I need to jump into Smite and Albion Online, and I don't know, maybe we'll see what's going down with Paladins. But in terms of the top 10 most popular, obviously I gotta check out Path of Exile with all those new expansions. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I gotta try more Counter-Strike, because I do want to not suck at Valorant. That would be nice. And maybe we can give TF2 a shot again as well. I'm sure there's been some cool shenanigans going down with that game too. But I think I'm gonna skip Warframe. And I don't know about World of Tank Blitz. I'm a real, I don't fucking know about that game. But let me know what games you guys are playing actually in the comments below, what games you want me to play, and remember to vote whenever I do my community post on what game we're gonna play next month for the Video Game Party Club. So you guys can all join me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Skylent, join the Discord, links in the description, and yeah, vote. So this month we're playing PlanetSide 2. It's been a riot, it's been awesome. There's so many people playing the game. It's kind of fucking awesome. But next month, what's it gonna be? Let me know. We can play some old games, we repopulate some lesser known games, or we can just jump into whatever's hype. Anyways, guys, keep the hype alive. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you again next time.